Hello everyone, I'm Hermias Nivot and welcome to G-Code Makers classes. Here we will guide you through mastering your machines and software, helping you develop valuable skills and get your machines and ideas up and running. Today we're creating a phone holder. Okay, so when we are done today, this is what our phone stand would look like. It would look a bit different depending on what type of phone you're going to use. This is all to be made custom to whatever phone you're using. That is the whole goal with this video. And also to be able to change these parameters if you want to maybe make custom designs for your clients as well. So if you want to sell this type of design, you're more than welcome. These designs are completely free. So you can just go into the parameters and change the sizes, and you can sell them to your friends, family, in your shops, whatever you want. So if in my case, let's say a client comes in, he says he wants one for his phone, which might be a A73, the phone that I'm using as a reference today. So we can change our modification or our sizes. We go into modify, manage, change parameters, we go into change parameters and we can adjust accordingly. So let's say they bring a bigger phone. Mine worked out at 8.5 plus our tolerance that we add. So let's say their phone works out at 12 millimeters. And you can look at this part and we press OK. And as you can see, it adjusted. Not only did it adjust here, but it adjusted on this side as well. That's the beauty of our design, and this is what we're going to work with today. So what we're going to do is create a new design. We're going to make a new component. We're going to call this component phone stand. And then we press OK. So let's create a new sketch. We go to our top, create new sketch, and we're going to use our left-right plane. We click on it. We can snap our view by clicking on our view cube on the right. We're going to use a rectangle by pressing R. Hover over our center of our sketch, as indicated with this circle. Click and drag it out. And our Y direction is going to be 70. And our Z direction is going to be 3. Just like that. Now we're going to press L for line again, and X for construction. We're going to click and drag it up by 30 millimeters. Now you can measure the length of your charging cable, and you can just add it into this value. So mine worked out at 29. I just rounded it to 30. Next we're going to add our parameters. So the parameters that I want to add is we're going into modify, change parameters, and we're going to add our phone parameters and also our angle. To start off, at our right top side, we're going to create a new parameter by clicking on this plus. We call it A73, and we're going to make it thick. That's the thickness of our phone. So what you're going to measure is your thickness of your phone. Unfortunately, I don't have a phone to show it on. I'm using my phone to record my face, so not so easy to measure your phone while recording. Other way, you measure the thickness of your phone. Mine is 8.5, and then you add a tolerance of 2 millimeters. So that would be 1 millimeter at the front and 1 millimeter at the back. So for my instance, it's 8.5 plus 2, which equals to 10.5. Then another aspect we need to remember is our cradle of our phone, where our phone is going to go in, the cradle. The front plastic and the back plastic is going to be 3 millimeters thick, as well as the bottom plastic. But what we need to take into account is thickness. So it's going to be our 10.5 plus 3 in the front and 3 in the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our value of 10.5, and then we're going to add plus 6. So that's 3 millimeters in the front, 3 in the back, which equals to 6. The reason I do this is you can always change your thickness easier without having to -6 or whatever. And then we press OK. Next we're going to add our height. So what we're going to do is click on the plus icon, and we're going to make a 73 height. Our expression is going to be the height of our phone. So if you measure your height of your phone, mine works out at 160 millimeters. So we're going to make it 160 divided by 2. But we need to take into account the 3 millimeters at the bottom. So what we're going to do is plus 3. So you can always change this value in the front. So if your height is at 80, it would always divide it and add plus 3. This is an easy to do part. So we're going to just make it 160, press OK. And our last value that we're going to add is our angle. So what we're going to do is, I like using 20 degrees. It's up just enough so it won't tip over and it's not too far back, so you can see what's going on your phone. So what I'm going to do is angle, and we're going to make it 20. And where it says unit, we're going to change the unit from millimeters to, so we collapse length by clicking on this arrow, and we're going to use at angle. If it might be collapsed, you just click on the arrow key, degrees, and we're going to press OK. So this degrees you can always change at the end of your design. Then we're going to press OK. Okay, now that we have our values, we need to insert them into our sketch. So what we're going to do now is press L for line, and we're going to click on this dot we made here, click and drag it out. Our first value that we're going to add is A73 thickness. So as soon as you press A into our value box, you'll see A73 height, A73 thickness, and so on and so forth. You can use your arrow keys to select whichever you want. At this moment we're going to use the A73 thick. So we press enter, then we can press tab, and we can look at our angle, and we press enter again, and we can press enter. As you can see, our angle is in and our length is in. We can make this a solid line by clicking on it and pressing X. We can make another line, so we press L. We're going to make it a solid line by deselecting construction. Click on it and make sure that it's at 90 degrees by looking at that rectangle that it creates, or square that it makes. That's blue. And we drag it out, and we're going to add in our value of A73 height. And then we press enter. Just like that. Now we're going to do the front as well. The front can also depend on whatever value you want to add. In my opinion, I like to have a 5mm front, so we're going to make it 3 plus 5, that equals 8. So 3mm for the bottom thickness plus 5mm that's going to stick out, so we're going to make it 8mm. And that's our cradle. What we're going to do now is just make an offset. So we click on offset, we click on our cradle, and we're going to make it -3. So now our thickness from here to here is 10.5. What we're going to do next is press L for line, make sure it's a solid line, click and drag it out to this line, and at the top we're going to do the same. This makes it possible for us to extrude this part. Next we're going to make a construction line down to our base. So we're going to press L for for line, X for construction. Our top cradle part, we're going to click on it, drag it down to our base, to the top line, just like that. Then we're going to make a solid line, so we deselect construction by pressing X. We click on, hover over this line to snap to it, click on our top line, click and drag it down. The reason we add this is to be able, if we change our angle, that our base changes as well. So I'm going to show you how that works now. But firstly, we're going to trim away this access block, and we're going to make another rectangle of, we're going to make it 15 millimeters and press enter. So this 15 millimeters that's added at the back just helps your phone stand not to fall over. But let me show you what I mean by angles and what changes. So if we go here and we double click on this angle, and we're going to make it 30 degrees. Notice what happens with this line. It moves our base longer, and it still keeps our block of 15 millimeters. This is an important part if we're going to use different kinds of phones. And then we have our basic done. So what we're going to do now is fit to spline. So fit point spline. We're going to add our splines. So we're going to click at the top. We can click anywhere in the middle, it doesn't matter, and then at the bottom. This part is going to be very organic and different from person to person wherever you click. So you can move this dot around and it would change the spline that you have. We're also going to make an offset of 3 millimeters. This is our thickness of our spline. And then we need to add a spline in the front, so we click on fit point spline. The bottom of our cradle, we click on it, we click somewhere in the middle, and we click at our bottom line as well. We're going to make a offset of 3 millimeters, just like that. But as you can see, this spline is not enclosed, so we can move this dot around until it's enclosed, just like that. To make sure that it's enclosed, you will see this part. It needs to go over this cradle line. Same on this side. At least this side it's fine. The top side is our problem. So you can move it around until it makes contact. You can also add more splines if you want, but for our purpose I just want to keep it as simple as possible, and we're gonna make just one dot per spline. And next I just want to make another spline that keeps our device steady. So if you look at ours, we have this one. It just keeps this spline and this spline from moving too much. So what we're going to do is click on our spline and just do something like that. So you click, 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 press enter. And we're going to make it 3. This can always change, just like that. You can change it to whatever you want. That's the beauty of this design. It's going to be your own. Let's say like everybody's has their own uniqueness, like fingerprints, and when you design this is going to be almost like your own fingerprint on a phone stand. And we are done with that part. Yours should look something like this. You can add more splines if you want, but I'm going to keep it basic with just these 3 splines. The reason we add these splines is to connect our cradle to our base. You can use whatever design you want to connect these two, but in my case I use this because I like the organic design, and I wanted to show you how we're going to use fit point to spline functions. But we're done with this. We're moving on to extruding. So we press E to extrude, and we click on all of the faces that we want to extrude. And I'm extruding it by 76 because that is my size of my phone, 76. And we have the base of our phone holder done. Next we're going to click on this front face. We're going to create a sketch on it, and we're going to make a hole for our charging port to go through. So I press L for line, X for construction, and I click and drag it up. So mine is at 5.5, but I'm going to make it at 6.5 to add tolerance to it. So we're going to make it 6.5 and press enter. Next we're going to select R for rectangle, center rectangle, and X to select solid lines. We find the center of this line, we click and drag it to the bottom. That would lock our rectangle to 6.5, and mine works out at the thickness of 12.3, but I'm going to add a millimeter, so it's going to be 13.3. And then we're going to press enter. Now we can extrude this right through, so we press E to extrude, and we extrude it right through. And we're going to do the same at the top. So we're going to create a sketch on this bottom part. We can project this top part down. You can also do it at the top. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use the bottom part. We're going to make a construction line, L and X. We find the center of our line. And another thing you will have to measure on your phone is your port, to make sure that it's in the center. If it's not in the center, you just add your values. So let's say in the front, it's at 3.5. And at the rear it's at 2.5. For example, we take another line, we drag it down, and we're going to make a center rectangle. Make sure that our construction line is deselected. At the center of the line that we made between these two lines, we click and we drag it out, and we're going to make it 13.3 by 6.5. These are the values that we added at the bottom, so we just add them here. And we can extrude this out. And we are done with that part. Yours should look something like this. Hello makers, I hope you're enjoying this video. If you do, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. This helps our channel out, and we can reach more people like you who enjoy this type of videos. So thank you, and let's continue. Next we're going to use our chamfer function and just chamfer these corners by 10. I believe it adds a bit of character to our design, and it saves time and plastic when printing. It won't save a lot of time or a lot of plastic, but it does make a small difference. When you're printing multiple of these, it makes a much bigger difference. But let's move on. Next we're going to create a sketch on this front, and we're going to do our polygon cutout. So what we're going to do is click on this surface, we're going to click on create sketch, and I'm just snapping to 45 degrees, just like that, and we can start to work on this face. To start off, we're going to create an offset. Click on our outer line, and we're going to make an offset of -5, making sure that our offset is on the inside. And we're going to make or find the center of this rectangle or rectangular shape that we have. So we press L for line, X for construction, and we drag it down. We're going to find the center of this line and drag it out. The reason we get the center from this line and not this line, it's because it won't be the center of this block. It would be the center of this line, but not our block. So we can delete this line. And we're going to use a polygon. The polygon we're going to use is inscribe polygon, so we click on it. We click on the center of this line, and we're going to drag it out on the line that we just created. So the reason we made this line is to drag our polygon perfectly out in this direction. So it's going to be 7 millimeters, and then we press enter. We double click on our polygon and press X. The reason our polygon is like this and not say like this, if we drag it out up like this, it's because of the way we print. So let's look at this object if we had to print it. So we click on our front. I'm just going to make it sideways. When we print it, this is the orientation that we're going to print it in. So if we print and we have a flat surface, it would cause drooping. But since there's no flat surface at the top and it's sharp, no drooping would occur. This is a small detail to always take into account when adding hexes to your objects. Hexes would help improve its strength and would cut out a lot of plastic, but you need to make sure that your orientation is correct. So let's move on. So what we're going to do next is press L for line, and we're going to press X for construction, and we're going to drag it out by 3 millimeters. We're going to do the same on this side, drag it out by 3 millimeters. We're going to use a polygon, and we're going to use an edge polygon. We press X, we click on that dot, click on that dot, and we drag it out. And now we're going to use our circular pattern. We double click on this line. You can click on any of the lines to select all of the lines. Just double click, and now we're going to click in the center of our sketch. We're going to make it 6 at quantity and press enter. We're going to do that again. So we press L again. We click and drag it down by 3 millimeters. The same with this side. We can make both of these construction lines. We go to polygon again, edge polygon, and we're going to click on this edge and just drag it out. But we also have to do it with an extra one on this side. So we're going to click on this one, drag it out by 3, line, click, drag out by 3. Same with this side. We're going to make them construction lines. We're going to make a polygon, just like that. And now we can do our circular pattern again. So we click on circular pattern, click on this one, click on that one, and then the center. We're going to make the quantity 6 again, and that would look like that. We have to do this step one more time. And this time we need to use all 3 of these polygons. So we press L, we press X, click and drag it down by 3. We just continue doing this. Now we add our polygon, edge polygon, make sure it's a solid, and we do this. Okay, we do our circular pattern, so we click on circular pattern, we select all of these polygons, click on our center, and we're going to make it 6 again, and we are done. Next we have to extrude this. So we're going to press E to extrude, and we're going to extrude all of our polygons that are on the inside. So all of these small edges you can also do if you don't want to add them in. Since they're very small details, you don't have to, but I do. Just like that. Everything inside of our offset line needs to be selected. We select all of our inner polygons. Okay, everything is selected. So this might be a bit laggy on your PC, and it's a bit laggy on mine as well, but we just drag it down, and then we can just press OK. Yours should look like this. So now we're just going to add some chamfers to our design. Let's start with the backside. We click on chamfer, and we're going to chamfer these by 14, just like that. And the front we're going to do 10, just like that. And now we can go around the edges and do all of our chamfers. So we click on this edge, just deselect this part, go on this edge, that one, all around the base, all around our main design, making sure we get the top part, just like that. We're going to do the bottom part of this cradle and those parts as well. And we're going to do 1 millimeter. And it should look something like this. Another thing that I also want to add is add a fillet to our port. Just like that, and we're going to do it at about 0.5, not that much. It just rounds the whole object. Then we can add holes in our base. The problems with adding holes in our base, if we update our design, it can cause problems in our timeline. So I would suggest just doing the front. So we're going to do offset, and we can do about, let's do it at -8. And then we can cut through. We're not going to do the back side or the middle side because as soon as we start adjusting these and we go back in our timeline and adjust our settings, and we adjust our settings, it can give us errors. So I would suggest just doing the front part. It's your best option. The rest is not needed. So we're just gonna click on all of these edges, make it 1. I just want to change my orbit center, just like that. And we are done with that. We're gonna press A for appearance, plastic, ABS white. Seems I have to download it again. Right click on it, edit, and what are we gonna do today? So we can drag it out, and we can move it to a color we like. Yeah, I think that looks cool. Another thing we can do is on the front, we click on that face, create sketch, text, we click on these corners, this corner, drag it out to this corner. Sometimes this happens. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna find the font that I use. The size is about 4.5, I believe. We're gonna center align it. We're gonna make it G-code. Now we can extrude it by -0.3, just like that. So if you ever want to adjust this, you can go to your drop down in your browser, sketches. You can rename the sketch name, and you can always go and edit the sketch just by double clicking on this text, and you can make it whatever you want. So let's say Hermias, press OK, finish sketch, and it updates automatically. So we're going edit sketch, then it back to G-code, G-code. Okay, finish sketch. And we are done. Let's hop on to our slicer. Okay, so I'm gonna send this straight to our slicer by clicking on 3D print, send to print utility, and we're gonna click on our object, click OK. I'll make a video on how to choose what type of slicer it would send it through. And we have a file set and ready to go. So the best way to print this, and the way we designed it, it's perfect to print it on its side. That was the whole idea with this print. So this is how you're going to print it in this orientation. It can be this side or this side, that does not matter as long as it's on its side. If you're going to print it like this, you will need supports. It would also be stronger printing it like this. So all of my settings I'm keeping the same for my Ender 3 Neo, and I'm using a 0.6 nozzle. No supports, and one thing I would suggest adding is a brim. I'm using a 5mm brim, but you can use anywhere from 5 to 8mm depending on what type of bed you are using. If we slice it, I also have an infill of 50% and the layer height is 0.2mm. The infill wouldn't actually make that much of a difference because most of it is made by wall lines. There's only here and there that it actually makes a difference. And that's it. Here we are at the end of another class. We hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did, please go to our testimonial page and leave your experience there. Also, since we are demonetized due to our location, any type of contribution would be greatly appreciated. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content. You can send your support to our PayPal account, link in the description, and thank you for watching, thank you for your generosity, and have a maker's day.